First of all, I want to tell you guys that I have spots open for tomorrow's intuitive and mediumship development class. It is more than just a class, and I'm actually, what I want to talk to you guys, what I'm going to tell you guys today is exactly what I do in the class, because I wanted to give you the formula in case you want to try this on your own or can't come to the class. And now if you want to go and see when the next one is and sign up for it, you can go to my website, triciacarcharm.com/intuitive-development. And so it's a 2-hour session where we walk through a few steps, which I'm actually going to, like I said, I'm going to give you that formula of the class today so that you can actually have it, because it's not mine anyway. It's just from Spirit. And tell you what I do. But I will just tell you, spoiler alert, that I have people come who are beginners and people that are advanced. The beginners come, and I've had 3 or 4 beginners, I can't remember, who had never given a reading before, and they gave evidential readings in that very session. So that was really awesome. I have an advanced person who came who wanted to develop a new skill, and I'll tell you because she actually gave me permission to share her testimonial about it. It's Stephanie Kathleen Carpenter, aka Stephanie C. Weinman, who was just on my show this past Sunday, and she came in wanting to practice a new skill, add to her reading repertoire. And she hadn't done it before, and she had an very evidential. She actually got the name even, and really great description of someone's past loved one. And then she was able to take it right into her practice that very week, she told me. So, and I don't see any of this to brag at all, because it's just Spirit. More importantly, it is just you coming with your intention. And that's something that I really want you guys to know, that if you come with an intention, not just to this class, I mean to life, in anything that you do, if you come with an intention that is loving, and then you're going to be met, because your loving intention is exactly, and the fruit is, let's say, means better yet, the fruition of your loving intention is exactly what the universe needs. You are a perfect individual in this ecosystem, and exactly what your loving intention is what we need to have here in this beautiful harmonic space. Okay, so you are the perfect color, the perfect tone for the beautiful symphony that is the universe. One song, right? You are part of the chord of this one song. And so if you go into anything with your loving intention for the highest good of yourself, that's how we orient, highest good for myself and everyone, then you will be met there, and you will be able to manifest. You will be successful. You will move forward. So having said that, I would love to share with you exactly how I do my intuitive development classes, the ones that they're just these 2-hour single sessions, and I call it intuitive mediumship development because some people really want to focus on mediumship. But it's basically any kind of intuitive art that you want to work on, including animal communication. We can work on that as well in the class. And here we go. So if you want to take notes now, or if you want to come back later and write it down, I will give you a recap as I go. But I basically got it stepped out as 1, 2, 3. So this is how you develop yourself to be able to give intuitive readings or mediumship readings. This is just how the rubber hits the road. This is how you start. Ready? Here we go. First of all, we clear up our filters, and that comes by education. So when I say clear up our filters, all that is known, you already have. So when we get education about our intuitive abilities, intuition, metaphysical information, this is all your natural knowing. What has happened is we have gone through this experience of being physical in this conventional society, which is largely unevolved. Overall, this collective consciousness is unevolved, and we have adapted to it, we have conformed to it, which requires us to put on these filters for things like higher sensing, just for example. Higher sensing, or even understanding when we do bring through intuition, or when we bring through creativity or art, all the same thing, by the way, exactly all the same thing. We don't actually always understand how we're doing it. We don't have a clear line to it, and so we don't really know how to get there again. And the thing is that we do know how to get there again, but we just have these, some people call them blocks, but they're really just filters. And this is something that we have the entire lifetime. Just like I said, I had Kathleen Carpenter, aka Stephanie C. Weinman, come to my class, and she is an advanced intuitive healer, reader, and she came to the class because she felt like there was something she didn't know how to do. Now, it wasn't true. All we did was tune her a little bit, give her a couple of techniques, and then she was able to lift that filter and start doing it right away. And that's how absolutely every one of us is. So now, education or clearing up these filters, this sometimes requires, like I say, it's a lifelong effort, because it sometimes does require for us to do a lot of inner work, a sort of some groundwork, before we're able to get to the point where we are comfortably moving and flowing in that way, because that's actually what we're working toward. When we do an intuitive reading, we're just flowing, because everything is, there's no separation, so we're just in that awareness of the absolute connection between every single energy, because every single energy is just a fluid, one energy. But as we draw lines around a particular energy, saying this is Tricia Carr and this is Chris Hoffman, now we are playing around with separation. So when we do an intuitive reading or healing or something like that, or when we are creating art, we are actually just experiencing the shared signal. We're experiencing unity to bring through infinite intelligence, to bring through unconditional love. So there is a bit of inner work that is required. Really, I'll tell you what that inner work is. It's always to the point of self-love, always to the point of self-acceptance, and recognizing who you are, which is God essence, an expression of source energy. That is the end goal of all inner work. And so that foundation is something that is a lifetime. And if we have a lot of fears and we're really oriented, generally speaking, to fears or self-rejection, then these steps then you stay in that first step, this first step that I'm talking about, which is clear up your filters, until you get to a way to be able to move on to step 2. So I don't want to mislead you and think, okay, in one session I definitely can, but if you are really oriented to fear, then you need a little more nurturing and you need a little more caretaking. See, it's like if I told you anyone could run a marathon. That's not entirely true, because if you have a leg injury, you can't run a marathon. You need to be able to, well, I guess crawl before you can walk. You need to heal that leg, and then you need to be able to walk around the block, and so on and so forth. But everyone who could run a 5K could probably train to run a marathon, probably. That's, you know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that spectrum of growth. So clearing up the filters / your education. So this is what happens at the beginning of my intuitive and mediumship development class. We actually come together, and the classroom is limited to only a certain amount of people, so that everyone can get served properly. And people will bring their intentions and their questions. So the questions are great. The questions are for everyone. We come together with our hearts open, and people ask questions or even share. Sometimes sharing does it, and it will provoke someone else to ask a question. It's beautiful. This is actually a universal law of fellowship. Universal law of fellowship is that when we come together, then the light combined shines exponentially brighter. And in the Bible, it actually says, where 2 or more are gathered, where 2 or more are gathered in his name, meaning the name of love or the name of God, there I will be. I will be in the midst. And so that is the universal law of fellowship. That's what we do. That's the first benefit, is this fellowship. And in that process, we start to clear up the filters. So we ask a question. Well, what is this? How does this happen? I don't know what this means. I had this experience. What does it mean? And so we together collectively divine the answers to that. I mean, I lead it. I'm the teacher, so technically I answer it. But it's, again, fellowship. We all do it. We're all bringing in that information. We're all bringing that in. And so what we do is we bring in that light, we release that new filter, and we get better tuned to be able to manifest the intention that we brought, which was to connect, which was to read, to go into that shared signal of unity consciousness. So there we go. Step 1. Clean up your filters. Release your filters. Education. And again, education really is remembering what you already know by removing the counter-education that you have been experiencing through the unevolved conditioning of society. Step 2, activation, induction. Now this is what I do. This is exactly what I do in my class, but again, this is how you do it in your life. This is how you do it for yourself, if you want to read, you want to become psychic, you want to be intuitive, you want to be a creative artist. What we need to do with this is we need to actually bypass the conscious mind and get into the intuitive mind. And so I actually, functionally in my 2-hour class, I lead us in an activation/induction. So what I mean by induction is it's a hypnotic induction. I'll tell you this, all meditation, every single kind of meditation we do is actually a hypnotic induction. It's self-hypnosis, okay? And so what hypnosis is when we alter from our regular conscious mind and we get into the subconscious mind, or the unconscious mind as it sometimes is called, which is actually the intuitive feeling state. That's where we go. The creator state, the tuned in state, tuned into what I call that shared signal, the shared signal of unity consciousness, of the one energy. So I lead us in, and I offer a frequency, and I am studied in hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, and with your heart open, and it feels wonderful, by the way. It's an amazing experience. With your wide heart, then we actually bypass that conscious mind and get into the intuitive mind. Now, this is, again, something that you do throughout your life if you want to be operating in this, along with the universal energy, in intuition and in creativity. You actually want to enhance this ability. And the way you do that is with self-hypnosis all the time, meditation. But you also have these other kinds of meditative things that you do, like listening to music or doing anything creative. And then there are other meditative activities like body movement and everything. But to really be able to reliably do it, the best way is to have a meditation practice for yourself where you induce yourself. And so the reason that we want to do this is because the conscious mind is actually the mind that has been created. It is the product of the creator. And this is essentially living in confinement under this created mind is basically living in the 3D matrix. I want to say that again. Living in the confinement of the conscious created mind is functionally living in the 3D matrix. And when I say living in the 3D matrix, I don't mean that we want to be, shooting off to a spaceship and we want to deny this 3D experience. No, but we don't want to be confined to it because we are multidimensional beings. We want to be operating always from the creator aspect, and then we play in the 3D. So we operate from the intuitive mind, and we have the created mind, the conscious mind, that we allow to serve us. The conscious mind, or the created mind, is the tool that we must put down sometimes. We must. This is something that Eckhart Tolle teaches when he talks about meditation, and Deepak Chopra talks about finding the gaps between the thoughts, talking about putting down the tool of the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is a tool that is meant to serve us. We use the tool. When we let the tool use us, then we are out of balance, because that's not how it works. The hammer doesn't use us. We use the hammer. And so this is what I do in my this is what you can do in order to continue to develop yourself in your intuitive and artistic development, to be able to have that very reliable connection, become a master of connection, is learn how to induce yourself or to bypass the conscious mind and let it be a tool to you. And then specifically in my class, I actually lead us with your willingness, then you will be induced. But it is you making the connection always. I know how to hold that space, and I know how to hold the frequency, and I know how to allow spirit to have me answer you and hold the space on your behalf. But it's always your connection. Now I say that because one of my students who's come to the class several times, and she said, I'm always so successful when I'm here in the class, but I don't know how to do it on my own yet. And I can only do it with you, is what she said. And I said, hold on, I just don't want you to believe that, because it's not true. It doesn't have to do with me, because you are always making the connection. I said to her, you're the one who's doing it. Obviously, you know that you have free will, and you could come and sit in this class and not make the connection. You could choose not to. You are absolutely one. I didn't make you do anything. No one can make you do anything. You're sovereign. And she's like, that's true. And I said, so I want you to own that. I want you to own that you always are making the connection. Now, having said that, getting yourself in that energy frequently is what helps you to attune to it so that you can do it on your own. You're adjusting your vibration or your expertise, your masterhood of it. And an example of that is when we go to cognitive behavioral therapy, when we go to therapy, talk therapy. We actually form a relationship with the therapist about, surrounding whatever issues and everything. We actually do this, we are doing the inner work, like my step one, and then we form a relationship with the therapist, connection, same thing we're talking about here, where we do the induction and we bypass the conscious mind. Forming the intimate relationship with the therapist is helping you to practice connecting. And then you take that tool of now knowing how to comfortably connect and you transfer it out into the world. The intimate relationship you have with a therapist, you then take out into the world, and then it's healthy again for you. Okay, so that's step 2 is the activation slash induction, where we actually induce ourselves into the intuitive mind, bypass the conscious mind, and there we are up there in that altered space. We're able to tap right into unity consciousness, or the shared signal as I call it. And so as we emerge, in my class, as we emerge from that, then we go on to the practical. And so the practical, or the practice time. So this time we have access, we're altered, and even if we're sort of coming back into consciousness a bit to deal with certain things like, okay, I'm going to read you, and are you ready? We're still altered. We're still working from an overall space of being altered or induced into the intuitive mind, and we can capture right there. And from here, we actually start to practice. So here's the thing. If you want to be an artist, or if you want to be an intuitive, you have to do it. It can't all be internal. You have to put the pen to the paper. Or Amber, my friend Amber who's here, you have to put the brush to the canvas. And you have to put your heart out there in order to be able to counsel, heal, and intuitively read for others. And so this is what the practical is about. You can feel it all day long, and you do feel it all day long as an intuitive person, as a person who is moreover a light worker, as this life purpose experience has brought you. But you have to be able to, you have to do it in order to know that you can do it. And that people come to the class like, I don't think I can do that. I'm like, of course, because you've never done it before, so it feels completely amorphous. It doesn't have any form yet. That's what the practical does. It gives it form. And so we actually, the students in my intuitive class, they pick people that they feel led to, and if they're an advanced reader or an intermediate or something, they may have a skill that they want to work on, or if they're brand new, then we pick something still, we have an intention, and then we go in with that intention and they practice reading with one another. And I have a particular formula that I offer to people. It's very simple as well, and I'm going to probably share that in another video or something, that I give them to kind of relate to so that they can begin this process of connecting and reading. And all the while, I am tapped in to the experience as the coach, and I'm actually, as the sitter, the person who's receiving the reading, I can feel what their question is, what their heart wants, and I can feel what the student reader is reading. And I feel the connection. And it was interesting, in the class, I could feel that the student reader had the answer, but she was doubting herself. And so I gave her some space, but I wanted to just say, like, just say it. You have it. You know what I mean? I could feel you having it, and she finally did. And then she was like, oh, okay. It helped her to, like, a big lesson that day was to release doubt, and that was really beautiful. And what's so amazing, again, about the universal law of fellowship, or just how energy works, is that when we have some kind of an up level, when we have some kind of healing or movement into something newly expressed, we hold the vibration for everyone else. Energy just is contagious. And so all of the other students were healed by the fact that she was able to release some self-doubt. So beautiful. So everyone else said yes to that as well, and they released self-doubt. Oh, it's so amazing. This life is amazing. Spirit is amazing, and it's just wonderful. But this process is going from, non-physical to physical. And that's what the practical section is about. You got to put the rubber to the road. You got to get the skin in the game. And so I intuitively coach everyone, and I continue to intensify my frequency and our frequency and just tune the space. And my gosh, we are having really miraculous stuff happen. But this is something you can do as well. So for your practical, if you wanted to do this in your own experience, then you have to put the pen to the paper as an artist, and you need to practice if you want to practice either a new skill in your already existing intuitive practice, or to start an intuitive practice or healing of some kind. Then you can have friends, family that you begin to allow them to volunteer and practice with them. Well, I guess that's about it. Those are my steps for intuitive and artistic. I'm going to throw in there as well, because I know these to be the same thing. So for that kind of development, either this is how I work it in my class, and also just in life in general. And I'll give you a summary. And that was step 1 is clearing up your psychic filters and education. And this also, and the lifelong aspect, means doing our inner work to be able to clear things up for ourselves and remember what we already know about the universe, what is already natural to us. Step 2 is activation, induction. And so that is when we activate the intuitive mind by inducing ourselves to bypass the conscious mind and be in the subconscious mind, aka intuitive mind, which connects you to the shared signal or unity consciousness where all information is. And step 3 is practical. Actually putting the rubber to the road, practicing with other people, whether it's your healing or reading, or by actually producing art. And that's what I have to say today about how to develop. And I hope you guys will check out my class if this interests you. And if it isn't about being a reader yourself, but it is about exploring your intuition and having some coaching to be able to access your intuitive mind because you're an artist, then I believe you can come here, you can come to that space, and we'll be able to do that there as well. And so the way you can access the class is triciacarcharm.com/intuitive-development. Additionally, I'll just throw in there that I am doing mentoring. So you can go to my website triciacarcharm.com, and click on mentoring, and you'll see it there. This is for people who want to develop their intuitive abilities to be able to actually, like I say, do all of this. And but it's also for artists, and I have a different program for artists. I just haven't specified it on there. But for people who, in particular, like if you're an actor or if you are a songwriter or something along those lines, and you want to be able to access your muse, as we call it, and like speed up your creative process and rely upon it. It's a spiritual process, though, so I will tell you that. I use metaphysical principles for that. So if you are, which if you're watching this, you're probably not, if you're fearful of that stuff or you're uncomfortable with it, or you have some kind of specific religion that would prohibit you from it, then it wouldn't be right for you. But if you are into my jam, if you're into the things that I talk about and you're an artist or a creative of some kind, then that's the kind of work we can do together. Okay? Thanks for listening.